have asked who Anouska was a year ago, I would not have had a clue. But I'm resilient, I'm a survivor, I ain't a victim no more.
Resilience Rising podcast.
Hi everyone, my name's Anouska and welcome to Resilience Rising, my podcast. Change of plans today as my guest is not well, and so I am being interviewed myself by Ross. Welcome, Ross.
Hello, everyone. So I was on, was it 2 weeks ago? Since I was last on.
Yeah, my first guest.
Yeah, I was your first guest. Now you're going to be the guest of the guest.
I don't know if I'm scared or I'm confident here.
So today, Anouska, you want to talk about your personal story, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think we should start it off with, just you in general, like obviously who is Anouska?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick brief of being young. So I was born in Rochdale, and at the age of 3 or 4, my dad died. He committed suicide, and I had an older sister who is still in Rochdale, and I was brought up with a single mum. Life was quite good. I loved it. My imagination was wild. I would go make videos on top of the slide on the park. It was, I was one of them kids that just got up and got out, whether I'd be with friends or on my own. I didn't care. Or I would be taking my dog out. Fast forward to turning 18, and I remember a lot of us going out on my 18th in Rochdale to a club called Xanadu's. It was brilliant. There were 50p a drink back then.
Yeah.
And it was a really good night until my sister ended up getting knocked out off my boyfriend. Long story, it sounds worse than it is. It really wasn't as bad as it sounds. So 19, I lived with my mum at home, and she decided to go working in the NAFI. So the family home was given up, and I either had the option to move in with my best friend Mandy or to move in with my sister. So to tell my sister I moved to Oldham. And I remember before I moved, I met a lad called Tommy. And he was so similar to me. Like, he didn't know his worth and I didn't know mine. And we just gelled because we was like very placid, very friendly. We just laughed and joked together. And he was 3 years younger than me. And I remember him like worshipping the ground I walked on, because the group of lads that hung about on the estate I moved on to, he was so excited that I picked him. But little did he know just how amazing he was. And I remember having a job in a pub, and I was giving free drinks away. So I got suspended because they thought I was tampering with a till, but it wasn't, it was drinks. So they got relief in while they'd gone on holiday, and the relief manager suspended me. Anyway, I got my job back. Been in trouble with the police at this point, and a lot of police used to come and drink in this pub, and your name would pop up as soon as you put your key on the bar to till anything in. And I used to be embarrassed. And Tommy used to come and sit in the pub with me. And I genuinely believe he was my first love. We were so similar. I remember it before I moved to Oldham, and when I was still in Rochdale, he would have me phone a phone box because he was embarrassed of the sound at home. Like Casey was shouting, swearing, just, like sort of things you get embarrassed about when you're in a relationship that don't really matter once you get to know each other. So I'd be ringing a phone box for him, which was quite funny. So we'd have specified times of ringing. So fast forward a little bit, and I've moved to Oldham. I've moved in with my sister. Life was great. I loved it. There was so many like this estate I lived on. They had like Cherry Avenue and all really cute names of avenues. It was really a really nice tight community, and still to this day, the people that still live on there, I mean, it's not the same as it used to be, but the people that are on there, it's still a community that if you're in there, you're well looked after.
So sort of like everyone like just gelled together and everyone like looked after each other, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And even though, like, the young lads or girls were committing crime to fund drug habits and stuff, they still, not straight away, but they still found it within themselves to, like, forgive because you grew up around there, that you were part of either a family or a family friend.
Yeah.
And I loved that about being down there. Yeah, and I got suspended from this job for the giving the free drinks away. So I'd tried drugs before, so I thought I'm just going to try the number again. And I remember Tommy begging me not to do it. But once I've got to be in my bonnet, I find no a very hard thing to take on board. Look, I wish in hindsight, if I knew then what I know now, I'd have listened.
Yeah.
But you don't. You've got to figure this stuff out yourself.
I think it's when you're younger as well, you think that you know everything else, and I was quite disobedient as well with my parents. My parents would say, like, look, don't be doing this because of this is the outcome and everything, and I'm like, oh, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, obviously, I went and did it the hard way and learnt the hard way, and it's just like, I wish that I would have listened to my parents, but now I have this knowledge, like this street knowledge of don't do that because these are the repercussions. And it's like, well, you can pass it on to pass it on to your kids now.
That's the stuff you can't buy, that kind of knowledge. And, you can be either work smart or street smart or a bit of both. I can't take the work smart credit, so I'll definitely take the street one. So, yeah, I remember going back to Rochdale, getting hold of my dealer, because I'd previously used in Rochdale, nothing massive, kind of left with that stigma of being a heroin addict, which wasn't great. You don't want to leave the town you were born in with that history, but it was what it was at this point. And so, yeah, and then I remember getting these drugs and Tommy asking for some, and for months and months I would say no, and then he'd come back and just told me he'd used somewhere else and that he'd been using. And I didn't know, so I was using that he knew of, but he was using in secret. So with that came in turn, would people be coming round to your house? People know your paydays. It's crazy how many people remember what day you got paid on as a drug user. Probably still to this day. Some days, some people still have a date in their heads. Even back then, it was different. So yeah, he got an habit, and with that, he'd already been in and out of crime. He was facing a jail sentence when I met him, but it wasn't something that he'd really done. He was just there and part of it. So I wasn't sure whether he was going to go to jail anyway. He got a community order, I think. Sorry, I'm kicking your foot. Community order. So yeah. He got bullied a lot as well on this estate. I remember always having to fight his corner. Or just as a girlfriend, I think that's just in me. I think because I was bullied when I were a kid, when anyone came to him, he'd have to walk backwards because there'd be a few of them. And it was so shit to watch. And the last thing you want as a male or a female is getting beat up in front of your other half, especially when it's relatively new. Excuse me. And he was a really good lad. Did he make poor choices and get involved in crime and he be in and out of jail? Yeah, of course he did. Excuse me. But I can never knock him for that because even though I didn't agree with when he'd tell me what he'd done or who he'd done it to, I'm not going to throw him under a bus. I ain't going to go grass him up. If anything, I'm going to defend him till the end of the earth, but then tell him at home where I think he shouldn't go wrong and stuff like that. But when you're fixated on drugs, an easy option, an opportunity is an easy opportunity to get money, and that's all you kind of think of, just getting by. So he finally got a job as a packer or order picker. I'm not sure which one it was now. And bless him, he'd be nicking Wonder Bras and bringing them home for me. Honest to God, this lad always put me above and beyond.
Yeah.
And we'd live... God, there's a frog in my throat.
That's me a drink if you want.
We'd live, like I'd get my own properties and then lose them, and then we'd move it. His mum would put us up, bless her. And we used to even have my niece. I didn't have any children at the time. We'd have my niece over. She'd sleep over. She never wanted to sleep with me. She'd sleep with Tommy's mum. She called her grandma. It was lovely. Really lovely. Anyway, fast forward to 2001. I met him in 1997. So fast forward to 2001. He'd just come out of jail before Christmas, and his birthday is on the 15th of December, so he just turned 21. And when you take drugs, if you're going to the dealer and there's another drug user either in your house or planning to meet up with you, they'll go, can you pick me up this while you're going? And vice versa. You know, it's just the way it went. So he'd pick some stuff up for us and someone else, give it to someone else, and they went off and used and give it someone else, and she'd mixed it, this other girl, with temazepam, and sadly she didn't make it. She passed away. So me and Tommy, we used to get gyros back then, and we was staying with a friend that particular weekend, because even though I got paid on a Monday, it would always come on a Saturday, so we kind of lived Saturday to Saturday. And this one particular weekend, you could put your hand in the letterbox and take them out, because Tommy had done it and we'd spent the money. And this is not me blaming him, because I always spent the money with him, you know, so I can't pass blame here at all. And I would never speak ill of his name, not a chance. Although I didn't agree with everything, I still went and spent and had half of everything. So, yeah, this particular weekend, I was wanted by the police for not going to court for a fine or something like that. And I got 2 tattoos on my ankles. I remember us having no electric. And what you used to get back then was, you know, the radios, the meters in taxis that clock up the money. They would sell, and they were a quick, easy tenner. So we'd go and nick them, and well, I remember being in Oldham Town Centre, and he's like at Anouska, watched the cameras, because he'd been arrested himself in Oldham through the police looking at the cameras in the town centre, and he was very worried about me getting locked up, bless him. So because our electric had gone, we'd gone staying at a friend's flat that was just literally at the other end of, we were at one end and she was at the other. And Tommy had been up all night grafting the night before with a friend. So he was really burnt out and tired. And we managed to scrape about £3 each, I think it was, together, the three of us. Me, Tommy and a friend. Don't want to mention names. And we'd scored a bag of heroin. Now, Tommy had forgot that before he went to sleep, he's like, you share that, what's left, and just save me the tube, because we'd have it on tin foil. So you'd have tin foil in a tube which would collect the residue. And lo and behold, when he woke up, because he'd hardly had any sleep, he'd forgot what he'd said, and we kind of got into it a little bit. And he was saving me a little bit out of this thing for the morning, just so we could get to the social, so get some money so I wouldn't be ill, because you've got to bear in mind he'd only been out of jail a few weeks at this point, just turned 21. So we've got into an argument. Literally, he walked out the door. I told him to F off and called him a tramp. And he told me to F off and called me the S word that most girls get called. It's typical boy calling. But I shouldn't have said that to him. He shouldn't have said this to me. And then my friend comes in and she went, I can hear screaming and shouting coming from your flat. She said, it must be them that have just moved in from Ashton. So it wasn't the first time Tommy had been hit in front of me. So I opened the front door. It's like 12 a.m. and I can hear what sounds like Tommy's screams. So I starts running. I recognise that scream only too well, because 2 people had come in this hostel we lived at years before that and battered him. I was stuck on the toilet, so I couldn't defend him. But I was one of them girlfriends, even if when I was pregnant with our daughter, I would just stand in the middle and just punch. You know, I would never just stand there and watch him get hit. So, yeah, these screams were nothing new to me, but they were more piercing than ever. So it was about 500 yards, if it not a touch more. So starts running, and as I've got there, I see a car parked up. And now I can look up, and it's only like 2-story flats, so ground floor, first floor. And I looks up, and there's a window in the stairwell, and I see a girl I know that's a familiar face. But I also see this lad, like, and one of them's got I can't remember who it was now, but they've pinning each other, one another, like, I don't know what they were saying or whatever. So I ran to the top of the stairs, but as I'm running past, a girl's past me, and a lad who I know who it was, but at the time I'm too busy trying to get to Tommy to figure out who this lad was. And then as I get to the top of the stairs, oh God, it was awful. This lad's on top of him, smashing him with an hammer, just literally a claw hammer, just hitting him. And I just see this, the stuff that you only see in films, and you never think this stuff's going to happen to you. And this massive pile of blood, Ross, it was exaggeratingly massive. And there was just no life in him. So I've managed somehow, my adrenaline is pick this lad up, and I've managed to boot him down the stairs. And I'm wanted by the police, and I don't know the severity of what's gone on. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be in a police cell. I want to be at the hospital with Tommy. So my friend who, I nearly named her then, my friend who was with me, I said to her, ring the police and ambulance. I'm going for his family. So I've got these bloody size 5 slippers on, like a frilly slide-on thing. They don't even fit my feet. My feet are bigger than that. And I can't run. And I could just remember repeating, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God, as I'm running to his mum's, which was like about a 5-minute run, 10-minute walk. And I remember I couldn't even get my words out. And his brother just setting off with a bat. And then as I get back, it took 25 minutes for the ambulance to turn up. And then I just remember him in the back of the ambulance. And his brother's there and his mum's there, but we've got to keep his mum away from the stairs before they put him into the ambulance. We don't want his mum seeing that. And I want to go to the hospital at this point, but I'm key witness number 1. So they won't allow me to go to the hospital. Yeah. I've got to go straight to the police station as a key witness. And I didn't have the best of relationships with my mum, but I remember my mum got rang, but before that, she said to me, I just woke up at 1. And that was crazy because that was the time he died, or just after. And my mum come into the police station. I remember they went to interview me, and they wrote his name down, and I just fell apart. And I remember the police officer just going to me, I've only wrote his name. And I just thought, why are you speaking to me like this? I mean, he had only wrote his name, but it's just started dawning on me just how real this really was.
Yeah.
So I remember giving evidence, and then my mum coming in. And my mum lived in Chatterton, so she walked up to the Oldham police station. And I think my friend was with me at the time, the girl who was there. And I'm being interviewed in what I can tell him. Now, I didn't make the driver out. I didn't know at the time who'd walked past me. Some guy had walked past me as I'm running up to the stairs with a wheel brace in his hand. And I remember sitting upstairs in the police station. That was a first for me because I was always in the cells or the holding cells for the court downstairs. So I was sat like in the CID room, the one like the type you see on 24 Hours in police custody. I was sat in them. And I just remember the excitement of the police going, we've got him. So they got the main guy, and the whole police station, the room I was in kind of lit up. But I was just like bewildered. And I remember my mum pulling me to one side and telling me that he died. And I just remember jumping on the spot. I was just like, I just can't even tell you where that reaction came from or explain it. I just remember jumping on one spot. And my mum gave me the hug, but she had this leather coat on and it was the weirdest, coldest, funniest hug I'd ever had in my life. It really was. I mean, she's not a hug person,
yeah.
And I think she was just trying to hold me still from the panic jumping and whatnot. And I was just so mad with the police because I just wanted to be at the hospital. So yeah, I wasn't there when he died, which was really a shame. But the reason I wanted to cover this is because, you know, the guy who killed him didn't get his facts right, didn't ask any questions, just acted, because the girl who sadly passed away was his girlfriend. And it had nothing to do with us or nothing to do with the other lad who they thought it was. He was just plotting from jail, so it's premeditated straight away. So and he's a wizard, so he was on amphetamine, for anyone who don't know what whiz is. So you can imagine where his brain's at, psychological. Like, he's got loads of mental health and he's not sleeping for days and stuff like that. Not that I'm defending his actions, but that's where his head's at. So he's asked no questions, just acted on impulse and planned coming, because he turned up at our house that particular day in the day and he asked for him, but Tommy was still in bed. So, but this guy had shared my daughter's first birthday cake. So he was quite known. Had a few kids or people pregnant on the estate. Yeah, it was all madness. But why I want to speak on it is because when you Google his name, it comes up, and it was said in the statements that he's a drug dealer. Now, if going picking some drugs up and getting some for your friend while you're there, it makes you a drug dealer. Jeez, I must be one too, because I've done it. It's like someone saying to you, "Oh, you going getting a weed? Are you going to the bar?
Yeah.
Get me a drink." Does that mean you're making them an alcoholic because you get them a drink at the bar? And it was simply because of that. And that's what angers me, is that there were no social media. There was no time for me to have my say back then. And it just pisses me off that his daughter has the displeasure of Googling her dad's name and it says drug dealer, armed and all that. He didn't even fight, let alone, he was never armed, didn't fight. Certainly didn't drug deal. If he did, we wouldn't have been committing crimes in terms of burglaries, shoplifting, theft, robbery, not robbery, just theft.
Exactly, because like if you're dealing drugs, why would you need to deal drugs as well as Steve as well? Because if you've got a good reputation of doing it, then the money that you'd get from dealing the drugs, then you wouldn't need to go out and graft, would you?
Absolutely, you'd have drugs on tap.
Exactly.
So yeah, that really angers me, because do you know anyone that knew him? He was a good lad. He was a great dad. Absolutely idolised me and Chloe. I remember one time he'd gone to a petrol station for some fags or something, and Moses baskets have like a netting, a lace netting sometimes around it, and it come off and it went over the baby's head, and he's come in like in a panic. I'm asleep on city. And he's like, "Oh my God!" And he was a great dad for the 2 years that he was in Chloe's life. So sadly taken away. And I remember spending a lot of time with who I thought was a friend. And I remember I was addicted to heroin at this point, smoking it. Never injected in my life. Not saying one's better or one's worse. It's still shit. And I remember this lad going to me, "I'll sort you out, Anouska, if you walk to the dealer with me." And I've got to deal with all this losing Tommy. I couldn't even breathe when he went jail. If he went jail, I'd have panic attacks. And if he got arrested, say at 1 a.m, I'd just grab Chloe and I'd walk to my mum's from Holt to Chadderton, which were quite a trek. I just couldn't breathe if he were took away. And, he'd be in jail and stuff. And I hated being without him, because we spent every second of every day together. And I remember being with this lad, and the night before the funeral, he'd give me temazepam, and I was not asked what I took then. I was taking everything and anything just not to feel anything. I didn't want to feel it. So it became surreal to me. It didn't seem real at all. And I remember going to the funeral, and I am so embarrassed of my actions after that because I was always tableted up, drugged up, or just something to stop them feelings coming and at that fear of that loss. I remember it being, my sister had gone to chemist the next day and it was on the radio and on Granada Reports as it was then. And then it starts to become real when you're reading it in newspapers and stuff like that. But I remember this guy literally, I can say, do you know what? I always say, I've got a theory that no one can force anything down your throat. But this guy I was with were kind of helping me get fucked up. So then I'd be powerless and then I'd stay at his place and then he'd have company.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd heard stories about him, but I'm not going to cover that because I can't prove any of it. Anyway, I thought he was a friend at the time. So for a good year, I went off the track, not living, not giving a shit. I wish I'd have been took and not him. Got that guilt because if I'd have been there, for sure I would have jumped in and for sure I would have been killed. You know, I would never have just stood there and watched that happen.
Yeah, but who's to say that you would have been killed? You know what I mean? If you was there to jump in, you know, you might have come out with some serious injuries, not life-threatening injuries, but, you know, maybe a broken arm, broken leg or whatever, you know, fractured jaw or whatever, you know, you and Tommy both possibly, you know what I mean? And you and Tommy both could have walked out there alive, you know, God bless his soul. Obviously, I don't know him from Adam or anything, but from hearing about him and everything, but if he was there, but you can't always be like, oh, what if? Do you know what I mean? It's not your fault at the end of the day.
You do though, Ross. You do cover. Well, what's if we'd not argue? What's if we had electric? What's if? Excuse me. What's if this? What's if that? It's all if buts and maybes, and you can't live off if buts and maybes. No. But you kind of wished it was someone else. You wished you'd done this different. Honestly, it's crazy the thought process after.
So did the guy just go for him because his girlfriend took the drugs and then she died from the drugs? Is that the reason why he got battered?
And because our flat was known. We didn't have loads of people coming in. We had friends who used, and we would a handful of people would come in, you know. But when you're in addiction and someone knocks on your door and goes, "Will you scarf me?" or "Can I come in and smoke this?" and you haven't got that, you're letting them in, you know. So there was about a handful of people we would let in, you know. But some people I still keep dear to my heart to this day.
Yeah.
So, 2002, I remember looking at Chloe. In fact, I woke up, I was living with my sister because my mum said move in with me and I just needed noise. So she had a daughter and I thought, this is perfect. The two kids together, my sister and noise. My mum's like, move in with me. I'm like, I can't. I need background noise, you know. I know, bless my mum, you know, we've not had the greatest relationship, but I remember her being present after all this, being around and stuff. But it was starting to get a bit crazy out my sister's, you know, like she was saying, oh, I can feel him, he's in that car. And I just thought, what sort of shit is this? You know, my partner's just died and you're making me feel he's in this corner, his presence is in this corner. I just thought, I mean, she was a drinker at that time.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising now, but I was extremely mad. And then I was getting battered by her all the time and trying to defend myself while having hold of my daughter. It was just crazy times, really bad times. You know, I wanted to be anywhere but on earth. And I remember in 2002, I woke up and Chloe had collapsed on top of me on the settee. I'd fell asleep. She fell asleep on me. I remember just looking at her and thinking, I need to go to detox. I need to spend, I think it was 6 weeks. Yeah, it was 6 weeks back then. In Prestwich, which is now known for more mental health side of addiction and stuff like that. So it's called Chapman Bark now, I think. And I remember going in and my mum was like, I'll have Chloe. And I was like made up and I was ready to go. My drug worker took me down. Funny enough, one of my friends had found some heroin and she's like, Anouska, do you want this as your last hurrah? before you go away. And I remember going to McDonald's toilets on the Sunday. I was going to rehab on the detox on the Monday. And I remember smoking it, and I was like, because I chose to stop, and I had that bit there, it made it so much easier going into detox and knowing it was forever.
Yeah.
And on the way down, I remember Heather Smaller of M People, that song, What Have You Done Today to Make You Feel, that were on radio,
Yeah.
Proud. And that was on, and it was so ironic that was on. I remember doing 2.5 weeks in this detox, and I was drug-free. They give me the injection that brings 80% of the drugs out of your body all at one time. And I remember I thought, we're tripping. I remember trying to climb from my wardrobe at 12 o'clock in the afternoon to watch Emmerdale.
You tried to climb through it?
Yeah, my wardrobe.
I didn't
In
go
my
into
room.
Narnia.
Yeah. I remember taking the quilt cover and taking the quilt out of the quilt cover and getting in the quilt. It was just, honestly, it's what they give you when you overdose. I've never overdosed, but it's what they give you when you overdose. So I've had this injection, and I was on methadone at the time. There was no Subutex back then.
Yeah.
But Subutex are a blessing. So I remember it bringing 80% of everything out of my body, and I stayed for 2.5 weeks, but I met this lad there. Now, I was so embarrassed because it's like a year on from Tommy, but I'm missing that love and affection that he gave me. I wanted that wraparound warmth that I was lacking. Oh, and then I come across some guy in the detox centre that is very popular with the girls in there. Makes a beeline for me. And with all your feelings coming back, because drugs suppress feelings, or tablets, antidepressants, anything like that, suppress you from feeling much. So my feelings and all that had come back, and they were all over the place. 2.5 weeks in, I've met this lad. He gets thrown out for fighting. I think I'm in love. I can't breathe now, and I've got to leave. But at the back of my mind, I know it's not right. He's never going to replace Tommy, and nor do I want him to. But two, I just need looking after at that point. But this man was screaming red flags. He was literally wearing them. I mean, he got through it for fighting. And I'm like, taxi, I need to leave. You know, so off I went with him. But I was so embarrassed to be with him because of, obviously, the love that I had for Tommy, that I would walk about 20 feet in front of him whenever we walked anywhere, because I just didn't want anyone connecting with me. And he didn't fill that void I was looking for. So then, yeah, kind of went through a relationship with him, and that was violent on his behalf. Yeah, and then I went to jail after that, and then that saved my life. That was a turning point for me, as I've spoken before.
Yeah.
So let's get off this topic and fast forward a little bit now to cancer.
Yeah, that's one of the topics you wanted to discuss as well, wasn't it? Your cancer
Yeah.
and mental health.
Yeah, so sorry for jumping from topic to topic, but yeah, I just want to kind of get as much into this podcast as possible. So I was high risk for cervical cancer. So where women have a smear test every 3 months, mine was every 3 years. Mine's were every 6 months at the hospital. At this point, I've been with my partner for about 14 years. And I remember I was so much in pain when I went for this smear test, they couldn't do it. And I had what I didn't understand at the time, what was called the HPV virus, which 80% of the population of women have. And I didn't understand what it meant. It wasn't transmitted or anything like that, but it was just made me high risk. So I remember I was in agony. They were trying to do this smear test. And I'm thinking, not today, it's not happening. So then they start going, well, let's swap you for STIs, STDs. So now I'm going in my head, cheeky, because, you know, I'm like, how dare you? I'm not one for sleeping around. I never have been. I know my partner, but I'm starting to question now. Well, I know I am.
Yeah.
Is there a little doubt? deep down in my heart, I knew he hadn't.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, just do your swabs, swab me for STDs, whatever you want to do. But this smear test just didn't go ahead. Anyway, all the STI swabs came back negative, as I knew they would. And I'm at home and I'm in agony. I can't even sit down, Ross. Honestly, the pain. This is like 2022 going into 2023. The pain was ridiculous. And I just remember I'd had 3 pregnancies, but I had 3 C-sections because my first one were breech. Second one, I just couldn't cope with them touching me, and third one were inevitable. So I can't really relate. Well, yeah, no, I remember my what's going on with my son, actually. So I'm stood up at home, and it's 6-week holidays, and us mums used to meet up on the park near me, and the kids are playing, we'd chat and natter and gossip like mums and women do. I remember I couldn't stand up. I was laid down on the grass, but I was like bouncing like this and everything. It was just, in agony. And all of a sudden I've stood up, and it was like my waters had just gone.
Yeah.
But I weren't pregnant. So I'm thinking, right, well, so I knew there wasn't something right down there, because it sounds mad this, but it felt like I was clamped shut. So I went to the hospital, and I told Gaz, my partner, and I went to Royal Oldham Hospital. I remember the guy there just left me with his bloody towel over me. Gaz in the waiting room. The waiting room's full of people. So if you open the door, and I needed the toilet, but if you open the door, everyone were there. So I thought, I can't just fly to the toilet with this. You know, the towels they give you about this big in hospital. They give you one of them to kind of cover yourself whenever they're giving you like any sort of like smear test or internal or anything like that. So he put his towel over me, and I'm just like, I think he'll be back in a minute. Oh, he's not coming back. Where's he gone? And anyway, I remember him saying I can feel the growth. So they admitted me for a severe water infection, which is ironic now, because that when I said my water, I felt like my waters had gone, that was my bladder popping. So that was really crazy. So they gave me IV, antibiotics, fluids, and sent me on my way. Lo and behold, I was back months later, not even that long. And they wanted to do take a biopsy.
Yeah.
So I've kind of asked them, can I do it? So I've got this probe, and I'm kind of doing it to the point where they have to do a little bit themselves. And I remember going back in for the results. I think it was about 6 weeks after, and my mother-in-law, as such, came with me, and there was no one there at all in this waiting room. So we sat there, and they've shouted my name. Didn't say she could come with me. Just took me into the room and gone, right, Anouska, you've got cancer, go with that Macmillan nurse. I'm like, eh? So I've gone, and I can't remember what she said to me at all, this Macmillan nurse. So they just told me I've got cancer, as simple as like you've got migraine. That's as simple as it was. And there were a lot of failings within that hospital. Massively so that I could have sued them, but half of the NHS was saving my life, the other half had messed it up. So I was just fixating on getting well. So I got an appointment at Christie's now. So I've gone back into the waiting room, and I've told Lorraine, I've said to Lorraine, I've got cancer, and she's starting to well up. And I'm like, can we just leave? I just need to I couldn't breathe. I felt like closed in, boxed in. I just needed some fresh air and a fag. So I just wanted to get out of the hospital. I remember looking at Lorraine, and she's filling up, and I'm like, why am I not upset? And I thought, have I got any emotion in me or what? I just weren't feeling anything. And she's like, can we just have a minute and stuff like that? So I've got out, I've rang Gaz and told him and stuff like that. And it just didn't hit me what was going on. I was just kind of, right, so this is how it is. And I remember going to Christie's, and I got there, and I couldn't sit down. I was just dancing about the room. And as soon as I got there, like, Anouska, how the hell have you survived on paracetamol with this? My cancer had gone from 2 centimetres to 8 in 2 weeks, popping my bladder in turn. So I had 2 different cancers at this point, cervical cancer, and I don't want to say what the next one is. It's a bit too personal. And they'd gone straight to type 4B. So yeah, Christie's was like radiotherapy, chemotherapy. I had 2 rounds of chemo. It didn't agree with me. And just so you know, anything cancerous from the waist down, you don't lose your hair. Anything cancerous up from the waist, you lose your hair if you have chemo. Well, I'd only had 2 rounds. It didn't agree with me. So I've had 7 weeks of radiotherapy, 5 days a week. And Gaz had been to every single appointment with me, bless him. Excuse me. And it didn't fully take it away.
Yeah.
So then I started on CBD oil, but like the proper stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, it was like I was back on heroin. I was like this monging off the city.
Yeah.
But I thought this is my only hope now because they weren't willing to operate. They said they couldn't get right to it. So I'd rang the bell and everything. I felt a bit of a fraud ringing the bell because you ring the bell at the end of treatment, not when you necessarily cancer free, even though most people are after treatment. Not everybody is. So I remember ringing this bell. I was so embarrassed. But you know, when I was looking at the bell, I'm like, I can't wait to ring that bell. And that I just stayed so positive. And I'm the worst. If I get an headache, I've got a brain tumour. I'm that girl.
Yeah.
But I stayed so positive throughout this cancer because I knew if I fell apart, everyone else would. And I'd have to go in the bathroom and cry because I didn't want the kids to see me fall apart because I knew that they would. So I put, like, I've got a song that's for 2 songs for my kids, I'm Your Angel and Beauty and the Beast. So I put them on just to get it out and then come out the bathroom as if nothing had happened. And Gaz to this day says to me, Anouska, I don't feel you realise just how much pain you was in because I loved it when I went to radiotherapy. He's like, why? I went because we were bonding, we were together, we were spending time together, you know, more than normal.
Yeah.
And I just loved the trips up and down. And he's like, yeah, crazy. But I must have been in so much pain that you mentally block it out. And yeah, so then we get some good news that St Mary's Hospital will operate.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I had surgery, full hysterectomy, brought menopause on, and I was cancer-free. So, on that note, if you get a form and you've got a daughter in school, high school, and they get the opportunity to be given the HPV virus vaccination, don't hesitate. Please give it them, because if I could have gone back in time and got it, I would certainly have had it, and my daughters have had it too. So I advise anybody to do that. I would, and I would never wish what I went through on anybody. So yeah, that's kind of my cancer journey. And do you know what was the hardest part? Afterwards, because if you've
like the aftermath of it all.
Yeah. Do you know when we talk about fight or flight?
Yeah.
Like if you're fighting something which you are personally yourself, you go through wanting to just get to that end goal.
Yeah.
Once you get to the end goal, you go and you hit the deck, and that's what I did, and that was the worst, hardest time of my life. Not having cancer, that after, because you so focus on getting through to your end goal that as soon as you get there, you hit the deck running.
I think as well, like, I can sort of like, you know, reiterate it in a different sense. So I was, obviously, you know, personally, but for you watching viewers, I've just been on a course with Gady Honor doing advanced podcast production, and I said to my neighbour after I finished it, I went, fuck me. You know what? I went, what am I supposed to do now, tomorrow? and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been so used to being in a structured routine of, right, I need to get up at this time, I need to go and get the bus at this time, do my course, and then obviously go wait for the tram, go home, sort myself out, sort my sandwiches out for the next day and everything. And then once I've done all that, I can chill, Xbox, with the boys and the missus as well. And then just chill out then, and then do it all again the next day. But once you finish that thing, it's just like, what you're supposed to do afterwards. And like, obviously, I'm glad that we've got this anyway, that I do this for you as well, because I'm like, right, okay, on this day I'm doing that with Anouska, on this day I'm gonna do that, and this day I'm gonna do that. And it's just like, I like to fill my days up as well. And it's shit when you've completed something and it's like you just said then, you hit the deck.
Yeah.
And
routine is key,
yeah,
innit? Having a
routine is key.
Yeah, like
100%.
Like when we spoke this morning on the phone, and he was like, "I'm up, ready, showered."
Yeah.
And I love that about you, because I'm like, I drag my feet in the morning. I'm like, but you're pushing me, and I love that. But I do totally get where you've had something constantly. You're in a group of people, and you've made friends or formed friendships. You know that you're going to see that person the next day, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for our mental health, we have to keep ourselves busy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I walk the dog 4 times a day, because that's the only way my mental health stays right. Otherwise, if I sit, like them times when I said I was in bed and I couldn't move, or I didn't want to be here. I really didn't want to be here. And I just survived cancer. Then I wanted to take myself out because I couldn't survive being in the house.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah. I love routine, mate. Yeah. And I think routine is key for even people with or without mental health. Just like, get up, brush your teeth, get in the shower, meditate, whatever is your thing, just be doing you.
But even the same with like mental health, if, but like getting out, all you have to do is just half an hour a day. And it doesn't even have to be weights, you could go for a nice stroll, half an hour, or you could do a bit of power walking for half an hour, or even indoor stuff for half an hour, as long as you're taking that half an hour out of the day just to have a bit of you time, and it's good for your brain, it's good for a bit of a mental reset, Just sit there, switch all your electronic devices off for half an hour and just sit there in complete silence, or even read a book. It's entirely up to you what your sort of like sense of relief is. Obviously, mine's gaming, but I know it's bad for me as well, because it's not really good. The fact that I'm sat there behind a screen, in front of a screen, sorry, staring at it. And it's obviously it's gonna hurt my eyes, but that's the only time I can speak to the boys as well. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously we all live different areas.
This is why I wrote yesterday about I'm glad I'm not a Gen Z, because I've been online so much yesterday. Like, if you've been to a nightclub and they switch the music off and that buzzing's still going on in your head, you probably get the same with gaming. And I had that buzz around my head that I just needed to put my phone down and just have time off, because my head was busy with a buzz. And you've been next to a speaker and you've got that aftermath of the buzz.
Yeah.
That kind of buzz. Not jug buzz. Not a high one. So because obviously promoting the podcast and doing a lot of research and stuff like that online has me on my phone a lot more than used to before. So I totally get that. But I have to, like you, I have to have a morning routine. Like, I like working out. I try to meditate. I don't meditate all the time, so I'm not going to preach. But yeah, I just find that my relief is walking, for sure.
I find that quite meditating as well, and I find it quite soothing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I find colouring in soothing.
Yeah, I do. I like.
Do you know, like the adult colouring books that you can get? So I bought one for my son, And
You've nicked
pinched it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm having this. Oh, shit, fuck off. It's
They're
right
really
now.
good, aren't they? It's very
Yeah,
few
the
people.
well-
It calms
well,
you down, though.
Yeah, and it gets you to think as well, because you're like, it's just a plain piece of paper. Well, it's not a plain piece of paper as such, but obviously it's got the outline, and then you can let your imagination run wild and be like, I'm going to colour that in like blue, I'm going to colour that bit in red, I'm going to colour
Yeah.
I'm going to colour all that area in green.
So it's keeping your head busy.
Yeah, and then like when you see it all coloured in, it's like, I did that. You know, obviously I didn't draw it, but I coloured it in and
Yeah.
I made it look like that.
Yeah, no,
You know what I
I
mean?
love that. I do, honest. It sounds so simple, and people like it might be like grow up about that, but it is grown. It's for grown people.
I've got a weird one that I find therapeutic as well.
You've got weird stuff. That's weird.
I like hoovering.
Do you?
Yeah, I love it. Like get me the Hoover and everything, and I'm just headphones on. I'm like, go, have a go for it.
What you like?
Tunes on.
See, that's when I know I'm in a good place, because music's therapy
Yeah,
for a lot
100%.
of people, especially for me. And if I'm not, if I ain't got my headphones on, I'm not in a good place. So that'll be things you can spot on. You know, like I will, but I do enjoy walking the dog and listening to the birds in the morning. Like I'm getting old. I love nature now. You know.
I guarantee I can tell you something that will gripe you, because it gripes me when you're on the bus and you can hear people's conversation. I'm headphones on, music on, full blast. God, I don't want to listen to your conversation.
No, I don't. But I have to pull one headphone off one of my ears, Ross, because they got. Like I make these
Like
weird.
constipated.
My kids take the mick out of me. They're like, right, stop, mum. It's embarrassing. But I literally have to pull one off. But I'm like, look, listen to this great song I like. You'll love it, because I do. I believe in that. Even when I was a teenager and I used to have a crush on the lad who lived across the road from me, I put like Billie Jean on Michael Jackson and be like, look how cool I am. Listen to music I love. I just assume everyone loves the same stuff I do.
Question: did you listen to the song that I sent you this morning?
No.
Oh, Anouska.
Do you know why? Because I didn't have the app. I pressed on it, I clicked on the link, and you've got to have the SoundCloud app. So clap.
Yeah, SoundCloud. SoundCloud.
Sounds like an STD there, doesn't it? But
I've got a SoundClap. I've got a medication for it.
Oh, we just find ourselves hilarious. Oh dear.
Sticking with pink
I don't know. I've gone west now.
So SoundCloud, not SoundClap.
SoundCloud. I need to get the app, not the clap. Yeah.
Wait, is it that one? No, wrong one. Do you know what? I'm not even going to bother with the sound effects.
No. But yeah, on that note, I hope. Well, listen, we're just trying to fill a gap here. Our guest is unwell; they couldn't get here. We didn't want to not put any content out.
Yeah.
We've got really interesting people coming up. I can't wait. Honest to God, we're only just starting. This is our third recording.
I think it's third or fourth.
Just let you know, it's our fourth. Tonight there's one at 6 p.m. that goes out on YouTube, and we have some really good people coming in for the next few ones. So just bear with us, because we've just started, and I can assure you, and Ross can, this is only going to get better.
Yeah. It's only gonna get better.
Unfiltered, no makeup, raw.
I put my makeup on today, you know.
Well, yeah, you need to control that nose.
Let's say we've talked about noses. I'll talk about your nose, you fucking bitch.
My nose got broke. And listen, it still bends. Can you see it there? It bends.
Yeah.
My mum never got it. Mum, why do you get this nose fixed?
Not enough gyro.
Probably not.
You can't fix something that's not broken.
Do you know how I broke it as well? It's not even a good story. I should make up some really interesting stories, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
So I got these. I remember, Louise, my mate.
Yeah.
We weren't speaking at the time, so she was the last person I wanted to fall in front of. Like, we're like teenagers. And we used to have a fence that cut out the back garden into two. So I'm going along with my school shoes on, so like doll shoes. I went for washing line, missed it, planked first into the fence.
Oh no.
Cut and bust my lip open, broke my nose. So now my nose can't, everyone will notice it more now. My nose bends to one side, so it kind of needs like pulling that way. I'm like,
It's like
Mum.
a penis. It's like a guy's penis.
I can guarantee it's probably bigger than yours, Ross. Now that I've seen it, I'm just going to take that on a hunch. In fact, Tori had told me it is.
Listen, it's not the size of it, it's what you can do with it matters, you know what I mean? Little
think-
dick, fast arse.
Yeah, well, she said
Ocean in the motion.
my nose pleasured her more, so you work that one out. Anyway, if you are enjoying these podcasts, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Come on, Ross. Amazon
Music. We're on Amazon Music now. We're on
TikTok.
Yeah, we've just got onto TikTok. We are on all major platforms. The only thing we're not on is that iHeartRadio, but we're on Player FM. We're on Podcaster Finder, whatever it's called. We're on loads, absolutely loads.
But we're definitely not on drugs.
No, we're not on drugs.
No.
Just high on life.
That's it. Let's high five to that. Oh, shit. Oh, crap.
But I do want to add something in this, that's all right.
Yeah, but I just want to thank the viewers for watching. Much love.
So if you do have a story that you want to tell yourself, obviously Anouska will obviously vouch me on this one. If you've got something that you want to say, you want to come on, tell your story about something that you feel is quite important, that needs to get out there. You know, whether you've got a chronic illness, you know, it's anything and everything can be said on this podcast within reason, can't it, Anouska?
Absolutely, yeah. It can be happy, sad. It doesn't matter. We're here to listen, share in a safe space.
And to learn.
And
possibly.
and to educate ourselves and other people, because, you know, in this day and age, I just don't think enough people are talking about certain issues like cervical cancer, menopause.
Endometriosis
endometriosis
is
is massive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like my niece and my daughter suffer from that so badly. So I mean, my niece had surgery, and my daughter is crippled every single month. And it's just something like I've signed that petition. I've shared that on my Facebook page. So please jump on that and sign that petition. We'd much appreciate that. It's so girls can be learn about it in school, which is something they don't talk about. They're giving out, excuse me, bloody hell. They're giving out HPV virus vaccinations at school now, which I think is amazing, but they do need to educate girls on endometriosis. I've only just even learnt to be able to say that word.
I struggled with it at first, so obviously when I had to do some content creating for a friend of mine. So I just want to give a shout out to Jess Hankinson for trying to get the endometriosis out there into the schools as well.
Absolutely,
Because that's the girl who does it. So she runs the chronic room by J&J at the Sniping National Underline.
I've signed it this morning. You please go sign it.
You best do it.
Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Peace out. We done. If I've asked who Anouska was a year ago, I would not have had a clue. But I'm resilient. I'm a survivor. I ain't a victim no more.
Resilience Rising Podcast.